Welcome to another Tableau tutorial video. I'm Weston Palmer. Let's get started. But first, a thank you to my Patreon supporters. I love the interaction and feedback. All right, we've explored the data a little bit, and now I'm ready to start creating actual dashboards. So I'm going to come over, create a new dashboard. And remember I said before we were going to do auto size, but once we actually did the real thing, we're going to come in here and do fixed, or actually, that's what we're going to do. I usually like to do 13 to 1500 pixels. So let's just try what 1500 looks like. And then depending on if you're going to be using a normal monitor, you might go 850 even. If you're using a laptop, it's something closer to like 500 or 600 pixels. And what I'm looking for here is, you see, this goes almost all the way down to the tabs down here. When you actually look at it through, if you're going to use see it on a server, there's a lot of space that gets taken up here. So we're actually going to bring this back down to 750 so that I'd like to have it so the user doesn't have to scroll up and down, and actually that seems a little bit much. So I'm going to do 800. When you get it, you might, when you actually see it on the computer, you might want to go wider here. I like to just see all of it when I'm building it in one place. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to come in here and we're going to bring an image in here. Right? We want to put an image on this background. It's going to ask us for an image. I'm going to go searching. I'm going to go searching right to here. Going to put this on the backdrop. I'm thinking of this as a recruiting type page, and you can see it doesn't quite fit. Let's not fit the image. Let's fit the image, but center it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I am to get the color. See, I'm going to go back. I am going to do that. I'm going to come here and I'm just going to change the color on the back. We had said blue is kind of the color. So you've got color on the sides. This white here is associated with the padding. Let's come here and let's take the padding all the way off. So if this was a dashboard, you're going to see it's going to go all the way to the edges. Okay, now the other thing that I usually like to do is I'm going to bring in a blank. This time I'm going to bring it in floating, because now everything is going to have to be floating on top of this picture. Bring this in all the way to the edges. It's a fine line because you don't want too much, taking up too much of the real estate. On this, I'm going to make it a darker blue. If you get really fancy, you might go to PowerPoint and get some shading that's in here. Actually, I recommend that. Let's change this so it's 0. Okay, we want the Y to be right up to the top. The width is 1500. That's how big it was, how big the whole dashboard is. And one other thing we're going to do I'm going to bring text in here. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to make this not quite white so I can still see it. But I'm just going to make it, let's see here. Usually I do, if it's a dashboard title, I make it 26 or something. I'm going to do 15 just to see how much space I have. Template, title. Going to want to make this middle here. And you can come down here and pick all sorts of fonts if you want. Let's pick Wide Latin just because. All right, so we've got a lot more space here. So we're going to come edit. Let's go ahead and make that 26. Now I want to do, I'm going to leave, there's still space, and that's okay, because I'm going to actually, when I do make a title, it's probably going to actually be 2 levels. I mean, it's going to have a subtitle as well. So you have a template title. Let's actually make this dashboard here. It's image. Oh, it's not going to, I thought we might be able to make it a little more washed out, but that doesn't appear to be the case. That's all right. We're going to cover a lot of this up so you won't see it. One last thing. I know this is kind of goofy, but makes me feel like I think it's cool. We're going to choose an image and we're going to just pick this university logo. We're going to make this smaller. In the layout here, we're going to change it so that it's right up against the edge. Make that 0. Make this right up at the top. And then we're going to get this, come down here. Let's see how big the title is. The title height is only 68. So let's go back to this image here and just make this 68. And so now we have a little kind of emblem. I'm going to call this my template. And that's what I usually do so that I can just copy it and I've got it set up. So come up here so you'll see what I mean. I'm going to make a duplicate. I'm going to bring this over here. Let's see, what did we have here? We had the map. So we're going to come over here, bring the map in. We've got this. This is still floating. We're going to actually get rid of that. We're actually going to hide the title because I don't think people need, people can figure out that that's a map. And maybe we'll just, so you can see that there's something behind it. And then we'll bring over, what was that? Sports count. And we're going to bring that over here. I'm going to hide that legend. Make this a little bit bigger so that you can actually see it. And that looks like it's everything. So let's hide the title here. Or actually, we're going to come back over to the sports count. We're going to select this and we're going to format it. We're doing a shading. We're going to make this white. I thought that was white. And I'm going to rename this so it's something a little more recruitment by. And it still doesn't show up. What you can do in this case, we've got it selected. Let's close that. We're going to go back to layout and we're going to make the background white so everything will show up. And we're actually going to make this a little bit smaller. And then I also double check. It is on 137 is the map. The sports count is on 137, 580, 582. So let's just make this a little bit smaller so that it matches. And then we'll just double check. So now we need to come back here. Remember what we did on the action. Select a state. We're going to select. So now we need to add that to the other dashboard. And that is interesting. Okay. I had it selected for all. Let's see here if I can copy that. Let me just edit this. I'm going to change this. I haven't done this before, but let's just change this to template 2. And missing field on sports count. Okay. So that's our first, well, not first, I guess. You edit the text. You can see why I have it gray here. It's so you can still see it. And if you wanted, you could even make it a little bit lighter. And let's do that just so we kind of have an idea of what color we want it, or we want the words to be. It's a little harder to see, especially if you're on your monitor. And now we're going to need to make this a little wider. Let's just clean up these tooltips a little bit so that they're a little more readable. Actually, we're going to come here, we're going to close this down so that we don't have this anymore. You have to pull those off, and then you can delete it. And then we can rename this one. And then we're going to come here to map, go under tooltips, and we're going to just call it state underline. And I'm going to get rid of some of these other buttons. We don't want them doing anything crazy. So Kansas, 4 students. And then come over to sports count. We're going to do something very similar. Actually, we want to be careful because you have a dual axis. If you change one of the tooltips, if they both change. So let's come under here. We're going to just call it sports or sport, a sport. We're going to cut this. Actually, let's change this. So this is going to be I'm going to copy this so it's kind of faint again. Different fonts. And as you're going through this, you may look at it and go, I don't like the way that looks. Not sure what's happened here. So it's on that one. There. Oh, I must have turned it off. One of these is not showing. That's interesting. Not sure why that's not. Oh, I know what happened. Because what happened is at this top level, we have the total sports count and the selected state recruitment. We want it on both of these axes. But when you come here, this has only got access to the attribute, the total sport. So if we want both, let's press Control. We're going to just drag this down to tooltip. And then come here to the other sum selected, and then we're just going to select attribute total. Oops. We're going to Control and drag it down to tooltip. And now it should have, let's see how that looks. 2 students. And you can see 2 students here, 2 of 24 students from selected state. And you see it says blank. So let's go back here. And under, let's see here, we want, under attributes, we want this one. We're going to edit in shelf. And we're going to go, I'm going to see if this works. ZN is going to convert the null values into zeros. Let's see if that works. So 0 of 51 students, right? So this is, you went into edit shelf, you typed ZN in front of that function, and then you highlight over it, you can see it says sum. So now as you come over here, you can see 0 of 20 students from the selected state. Let's come down here, let's make these all another color. Let's make it purple. And so now there we've got our first dashboard. One thing, it's got a little blue here. Let's come here. We're going to make this height just a little bit bigger. I thought that this would have padding, but it doesn't. All right, so this is our first dashboard, and you're looking at recruitment by state for Anywhere University. I hope you'll check out these other cool videos that I've selected for you. Let me know what you think in the comments below.